Good afternoon, everyone. Don't get to say that very often for our AMAs. But yeah, welcome back to our next in our regular weekly AMAs. We're on quite a good streak here, actually. I'll have to make sure we keep that one going for a bit. Um, but yeah, coming at you a little bit earlier than usual. Obviously, with a lot of stuff happening this week, as we'll discuss. Yeah, felt like it was right to just yeah jump on a little bit earlier and get everything out there. So, how is everyone going this evening?
Yeah, um, tired but fulfilled. We've had a lot of work on over the past weeks getting to where we are, but it's all culminating, so it's nice to see everything coming together and excited for the weeks ahead. How are you, Ray?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Season zero is over. A few more days, I suppose, just to having some fun games without stressing on the. Not that I was stressed about the leaderboard because I was not really that high up, but no, it was good. Excellent first season, I thought. So,
Yeah, I'm trying to see why it's not. It's set this to 1080p, so I'm not sure why it's coming through on YouTube at 720p. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, um, yeah. So hopefully this is a good time for more people. I mean, at the very least, definitely should be a time that India will be able to join us. And yeah, just I guess a huge shout out. We've had a lot of players from India joining us over the last week. We actually hit this weekend. Obviously in the lead up to, I believe, well, can't really say why people play games, but the lead up to the end of season zero and stuff like that, we actually hit some records in terms of concurrent players and daily active users, which is awesome to see. So yeah, everything's still moving up and to the right, which is always great. But yeah, definitely a big warm welcome to all of our newfound players from India. But
nice.
yeah, cool. So I mean, I guess. Ray, do we have any specific questions you want to touch on, or we'll just, I guess, chat through the announcement we did earlier today, or
Yeah, not really, but I suppose a good intro to the end of the season zero is just make me rich. Just asked the question in the Telegram before. Um, Team, with the season zero ending and the game moving towards play to earn and on chain stuff, do you
Mhm.
feel you reached the goals you had in mind to onboard the Web 2 players?
Oh, that's a good
From a,
question.
yep.
No, but that's going to be my answer regardless of how many players we have. Um, One of the interesting things with what we call live ops games or live operations games is that you never really hit. There's never a goal in terms of what you can hit. It's always a case of like if we had 100,000 players, 500,000 players, whatever that number is, we'll always be trying to push to get more regardless. Um, Having said that, are there things we could be doing to get more Web 2 players into the game? Yes. Do we have plans that we will discuss? I mean, Chris, can I name drop here or not yet?
Probably not name drop, but we can allude to it. Yeah.
We've been chatting to one of, if not the biggest Hearthstone content creators. This particular individual has been creating content for Hearthstone literally since day one. Like, it was one of the first players in like the alpha and stuff like that. Uh, to put it in perspective, this particular person, I'm trying now to talk very vague here, has exponentially more followers than, say, Ali Straza or any streamer or influencer we've worked with previously. And yeah, they'll be doing some content with us, specifically focusing on the game, but also focusing on the lead up to the World Championship as well. So yeah, that's one of the things we're doing, obviously, for the Web 2 side of things. And then, yeah, we've also got a bunch of streamers and influencers that'll be kicking off over the next month through Morpheus League and through IndieGG. So they'll be targeting various regions. Some of that will be a bit more Web3 focused as well. So we're trying to, we're basically putting out a lot of, I guess, experiments out there to see where we get good results in terms of players that enjoy the game, communities that engage with it, and I guess also looking at it from the perspective of people that stick around. It would be very easy for us to go out right now and acquire 10,000 users who play the game once and then drop off and we never see them again. And there's no real value to anyone in doing that. So it's very much a case of experimenting and seeing where we can find the sort of players who are like engaged and want to keep playing the game and coming back day after day, week after week. And we've already seen that across our community with things like the with season zero with the battle pass. So it's a case of working out what we can do, such as that, to keep more people coming in and keep them staying in. we'll see some of that from the dev side of things as well, definitely going into Season 1. So obviously we've got the Season 1 Battle Pass, which will be a 3-tier pass with that new Rainiverse tier in there as well. But obviously you'll also notice when we kick into Season 1, you'll have both daily and weekly quests kicking in there as well. So just a few different ways we're rewarding players for engaging with the game. Some of the daily quests are super easy. Some of them you can literally finish in a single game. Some will take multiple games. Some of the weeklies are the same sort of thing, but the weeklies obviously are designed to be those bigger sort of things. And a lot of the quests you'll find they've been designed with the high level goal of introducing players into different ways of playing the game. So, if we notice, for example, you only ever play with green decks, we might, deliberately give you a weekly quest, which is play 50 green minions or something along those lines, just to try and help players, gently discover new decks, new strategies, new ways of playing, which hopefully they enjoy, and they keep coming back for more.
Yeah, I think the quest side of things is going to be very interesting. I mean, it was good to play players, I suppose, to get experience in the last. So you had to play a quick match to get some experience, but to be able to do those quests, I think will, from my perspective anyway, from a solo point of view, I think I'll look forward to doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's also, I guess to sort of softly lean into some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. That was definitely one of the big thought processes behind one, pushing the World Championships back a little bit. We had a lot of stuff happening literally like this week and next week. We didn't want to have too much stuff sort of overlapping and things getting lost in there, which we're a bit worried could have happened with the token Season 1 full launch and World Championships all within a week. But we're also, obviously we're really happy to do the free play week, which has started now. So basically from now until this time next week, any games that you play will still unlock rewards from the Season 0 Battle Pass. So you got a little bit of time there to still, we actually do have some quests around certain number of games. We're going to make you play 420 though, just to really make you have to grind for it. Completely lost my train of thought there. What was I saying? Why are we Battle Pass? No. While we move stuff. Yeah, free play week. See, this is definitely live. I would have edited it out if this was pre-recorded. But then I would have left it in to make you think it wasn't Anyway, that's a whole other thing there. Twitter will be like conspiracy theorying now. I'm thinking of another. Anyway, so free play week is in there now. So you still earn Season 0 rewards. So we noticed there were a lot of players in the 35 to 40 level range. So it's given that last little bit of time to try and get up there. We want as many players as possible to hit level 49 as we can, because obviously that unlocks the Lux tier going into Season 1, which is pretty huge. So we want as many players as possible to have the opportunity to do that. But more importantly, we've disabled MMR and leaderboards for the next week. So if you are looking to prepare for the World Championships, if you've got some random decks that you want to try, but you're worried about what that effect could have on the leaderboard rankings, this is the time to get in there and try out every single deck you can possibly imagine. If you haven't maybe had a chance to play through all of the theme decks so far, but you're looking at the theme deck events in the World Championships, this is the time to unlock those theme decks and give them a really good crack. That's basically what we're sort of aiming towards there with this free play week. And there'll be an announcement going out on Twitter and that after this AMA. And then, obviously, that also allows us from an internal perspective to really focus all of our development efforts this week on the launch of RST and our partnership with Beam, just making sure that everything there gets off really smooth. And obviously, making sure we've got the capacity to be answering questions on Telegram, Discord, Twitter and stuff like that, because obviously as we start that migration across from the old Raini token to the new RST token, there'll be a lot of questions, a lot of people asking how to do things, when they need to hook, what websites need to go to. So obviously really important that we've got the whole team just focus on that for this week. So but definitely excited for the free play week. I'm planning on getting in there and playing a bunch of games myself, and it'll be really cool if there was ever a week to see if you can make Rainbow Champion decks work, if there's ever a week to see if Elementals are still OP as what they used to be, or if Recursive Reality decks are a thing, or maybe like someone I saw on Telegram, you cracked a Pride and want to run a Pride combo deck. There's a lot of really cool decks and strategies out there right now, and this basically gives you a week just to go nuts, and hopefully we discover some really, really cool new meta-breaking decks out there.
Or even just playing the theme decks. It's great to be able to play like that. I've just been playing with the red deck lately. It's pretty OP early in the game. If if people are trying to extend the game to do something bigger, it can really do really quite well. But just playing the theme decks is a great, next few days is a great idea.
Oh, for sure. I've made no secret of it. I still think the green theme deck is the most fun one for me personally. Dropping big gluttonies on the board and having like chubby aliens to sort of back them up into the late game is just a really fun sort of like control-y, combo-y, mid-range sort of deck that I really like to play. But that's just me. Yeah, red's really strong. Yellow's up there. Pink we saw almost make it to the finals the last tournament. So there's a lot of really cool theme decks there to try out, and yeah, definitely if you are looking to compete in the World Championships, knowing the theme deck matchups back to front will be so important as part of that. Because even outside of picking which 2 of the 7 you want to play yourself, knowing because in that theme deck event, the second you see what hero your opponent is lining up with, their deck list back to front.
Exactly.
That is huge in terms of
Yeah.
the advantage that gives you. But yeah, the more you can practice, the more you can know that matchup inside and out. Could be what leads to our next world champion.
Indeed. I have planetrainy.com website open with the decks, so I know what's coming if I'm playing my own theme deck, for example. But yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'll give a bit of a shout out for Planet Rainy as well. Actually, I'll bring it up here and I'll screen share it. For anyone who might not be aware, I'll put it in the chat as well. Planetrainy.com is a website that one of our awesome community members has been putting together. And how do I screen share? Share screen. That one. We've been assisting, so we provide like a lot of artwork and stuff like that. But honestly, it's all community effort getting this site up, and it's pretty ridiculous. If you're new to the game, if you're not sure what a mulligan is, if you're not sure what thorns is, if you're not sure about all the different abilities, they're all there. You can go through and you can literally view every single card in the game, including all the base cards now have all their artwork uploaded as well, which is really cool. All the artwork on this site, we've provided like the full high resolution, like raw artwork that like in game. A lot of this gets like crunched down, but this is all just the raw artwork here, so they all look really good. Even like the sin cards are all in there as well. So the 7 spells that you get from the 7 Deadly Spins Mythic. You can go in, you can actually look at like decks that use the card, which is cool. So I'm guessing this uses this is Nemesaur's Rainbow Surprise. So this would use the 7 Deadly Sins Mythic. Oh, it's a Rainbow Champion deck too. Leprechauns are in there. It's running just a one-off HODL. I'm curious what's that is there for. But yeah, there's
some spare cards to stake. Is it HODL gives you a couple of cards?
Yeah, so he's running Blue Alchemist, so you'd be able to just like play the HODL to get the 2 rainbow recharges, 2 blue recharges. I guess that's the strategy there.
If I'm not mistaken, it was Jay, but not that Jay, who created this, right? So
So
huge shout out. He's been long-standing, big supporter, absolute legend. Thanks for that. Yeah,
and I think he's Loth Hank on the Discord. So it's Jay, but not the Jay in Telegram, and Loth Hank on the Discord. Always very helpful to everybody.
But yeah, even like going right through, like, Zykozoid, cool. It's an uncommon from Tempest, which means it's only available as a soulbound card. How to actually unlock soulbounds and which cards are available which most of them obviously are available as soulbounds. If we go back to like card sets, I'm guessing if I go promo, maybe does that work? No. How do I see promo cards? Let's look up Year of the Rabbit. There it is. Promotional card set. Yes, there's all the promo cards there. Chad Doge is there. Oh, we'll have to get that uploaded. Hopefully how we can do that, because there's 3 different artworks for that one. You got actually direct links going to all the different... Oh, wow, he's actually done direct links for all of them. That's awesome. That's going to be so cool.
And the decks there, some of the OG players have been submitting decks under the decks category there. So Huncho, Nemesaur, and lots of other people, or a few other people, have sort of started to submit decks in there, so people can have a go at those decks with a bit of a strategy behind it for those who are new to the game. It's great.
And even like having you can go in. Obviously, there's videos linked. So Seb's obviously been playing. I think Seb did like a video series of all the theme decks, I believe.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that would be great as well. Be able to go through and watch those to get an idea of how each of the theme decks sort of play.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, just a really amazing resource there. So yeah, just from absolute bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for putting it all together. And yeah, we'll obviously be helping to add stuff to here as we go as well. Cool. Let me turn that off. Cool. All right. So yeah, I guess were there any other like sort of questions, Draz, or we'll just sort of go through the notes and just sort of
Not a lot of
discuss them?
questions at the moment, actually. So yeah, if you guys just want to, like you in your announcement there, just talk about what your plans are with the RST or what's coming this week, would be fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just find the announcements channel. There it is. Yeah. So, like I said, this is obviously if you're on Telegram or Discord or Twitter, you were seeing this guy earlier today. But yeah, it gives us a chance to sort of discuss it a bit more and go into a bit more detail. Yeah, the first big announcement, obviously, is just a huge congratulations to Nemesaur, also on Epic known as Bone Hunter 89. Who also was the winner of our Chad Doge tournament, our most recent event. I know he's won a bunch of the smaller Blue Mint tournaments, but yeah, officially took down Season 0. I think it was a little closer in the end than what it was, I guess, like a week ago. I remember looking at one point and it was like 150 MMR points ahead. I was a little bit closer than that, but still a very decisive leaderboard win there. So yeah, just a huge congratulations there. As we announced, there'll be prizes going out for the top 100 players for the Season 0 leaderboard. There'll be a mix of both Soulbound and on-chain rewards, which would be pretty cool to do. So with the Soulbound rewards, we'll be able to drop those basically directly into your account relatively straight away. That will happen later on this week. For the on-chain rewards, that will basically kick in as soon as we finish integrating the Beam wallets and blockchain into our client. The really cool thing that Beam allows us to do is we can literally give out rewards to people without knowing if you are a Web 2 or a Web 3 player or a Web 5 player, I guess. All we need is your Epic display name, and we can basically drop stuff into a wallet that you can then move stuff around and use them in game, which would be really cool. So yeah, they'll be going out a bit later on. We do have the prize breakdown. Where did I put those?
Will the moving of the things out of the wallet from Epic be within the game? You can do it from within there? Or...
At this stage, it's most likely going to be on the RTLOL.com player profile page.
Okay, cool.
Mostly because you need like a wallet to move them into. So we would much rather have it set up where instead of you just typing in any wallet address, you have to link a MetaMask at this stage,
Okay.
just to make sure because the problem is if you theoretically mistyped something or you could put like a burn address in and it's just going to burn everything in that wallet. We'd much rather we know it's going to go into a wallet that you've connected through MetaMask.
No, that makes sense. That's a
At
good
this
idea.
stage. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
But yeah, we're still working out the actual like user experience and the flow of that. We're also in the process of setting up the new storefront on rtlol.com. So when you are signed in with Epic, you've obviously got access to like your RST tokens, either from a connected wallet or from your Beam wallet. Then yeah, we'll be able to do some stuff around that as well. But yeah, so for example, for first place, Nemesaur will be receiving a very healthy injection of coins and lux into his account. And he will also receive 2 full playable sets of all promo cards currently available as well. So he'll have a Blockfather, a Chad Doge, some Campai Pandas, Avalanche, and Chubby Aliens, both to play with, as well as to potentially could stake them and give out the faded cards for play and earn rewards. You might choose to sell them or lend them to other people. It's up to him what he chooses to do with those. But yeah, basically the top 20 will be receiving some combination of both on-chain and soulbound rewards. And then between 21st and 100th place, we'll be receiving soulbound rewards. So yeah, but yeah, just again, we did top 20, very, very top heavy, obviously, because we wanted to reward the players that did perform quite well this season. We wanted to basically just go down the list a fair way because a lot of players were putting in a lot of games. And yeah, we wanted to basically just at least acknowledge that by making sure they got something out of it. And then yeah, obviously, going into season 1, the Eternal leaderboard will stay where it is and will get switched back on. So Nemesaur obviously will still be at the top of that particular leaderboard, but there will be a brand new seasonal leaderboard as well, as there will be for every season moving forward. So the idea will be basically to see the Eternal leaderboard will basically be the best representation of skill over, I guess, the life of the game. Whereas the seasonal leaderboards are much more like a snapshot of that one particular season. Which again, depending on the meta, depending on what decks and cards are strong or in flavor at the time, we may see some very different results between the two. But yeah, the good thing with like resetting a seasonal leaderboard every 3 months is, for some players, they may come on, realize they're on 1,000 points, look and see like Nemesaur and that. I think Nemesaur, at high point, I think it was like 1,600. I think it was the highest MMR I saw him hitting. That might be just too big of a mountain to climb, but obviously when the season resets, it's fair game for everyone, and different people might try to tackle that different leaderboard, which would be really cool.
So how's the Eternal one work progressively? So everyone's basically the beginning of what is season 0 leaderboard now gets pulled through as the base for the Eternal, and then you can go up and down as the next season comes across.
Yeah, so basically there'll be 2 separate leaderboards, 2 separate MMR calculations on the back end using each of your 2 MMR statistics. So, for example, the first game that Nemesaur plays in Season 1, we will calculate the change on the Eternal leaderboard based on his current Eternal MMR and his opponent's Eternal MMR. But then the Season leaderboard, they would both be on 1,000. So, that, if Nemesaur wins, he would expect to go up. I think it's like 1,016. I think is the normal amount you go up when it's 2 players on 1,000, roughly. Yeah. But depending on where his opponent sits on the Eternal leaderboard, the change there could be significantly different. So yeah, like I said, it's very much a case of just like apples and oranges, I guess. But yeah, one being a leaderboard that's going to run for the life of the game as far as we have planned, and then the other one being like that more snapshotty, like seasonal sort of leaderboard as well. Sure. I'll leave it to the community to decide which one they want to give more bragging rights to and which one they feel is the more important of the two.
I think season 1 leaderboard with the World Cup's going to be pretty big.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, there'll be a lot of players obviously using Quick Match to prepare for a lot of the World Championship events. So yeah, it could be a very interesting time seeing a lot of different decks and strategies. And obviously that's why we have Free Play Week, just to give people a chance to try all the different things that they want. And yeah, obviously we've built everything out now, and you'll see that in the new patch in 1.1.10. Where we've got everything built out, where we can turn off and on open matches anytime through the lobbies. So we'll definitely make sure we do a couple of open weekends and stuff like that between now and the World Championships, just to give players the opportunity to test any open format decks they want to be using there as well. Because obviously, as we saw quite a bit when we're still in the alpha and beta stages of RTLOL, the decks that players choose to use when we remove ownership constraints can be very different. And yeah, it'll be good to see how the different decks and the different metas sort of evolve over the course of the World Championships over that month.
Nice.
Cool. Which, yeah, I guess brings us to that season 0. That brings us then to season 1. So we're actually going to run, I'll edit the post. We're going to run the Free Play Week for a week. So we were looking at starting season 1 on the 1st September. We're just going to do it a week from now. Just give players that full week. Basically make sure that people can play through the weekend as well. Looking at our back-end data, we do notice there are a lot of players who only play on weekends. So we want to make sure that everyone has that opportunity to prepare for the World Championships and try all the different decks out. But then, yeah, basically this time next week, again, we'll be shouting it from the rooftops. We'll kick everything off for the season 1 full launch. And yeah, you'll see the update come through on Epic. Once that Epic update hits, you'll be on the new patch, you'll be on the new season, and any game you play from that point forward will count towards the new leaderboards and the Eternal leaderboards as well. They'll get turned back on at the same time.
So September the 4th, 10 a.m. Sydney time?
I'll have to confirm the time, but yeah, it should be roughly around. It's usually 10 a.m. because we try and do it at midnight UTC. Might be the 5th actually. We might do it on the Tuesday.
But you'll confirm that at some point.
Yeah, I'll confirm that and I'll throw it on all our socials.
Sweet. I think it's a good idea to postpone personally, but not that I have any say in the matter, but to postpone the World Cup, I think is a good idea. Give people a chance to get used to the game, those that have just come in and things like that. But yeah, really good.
Yeah, and I guess that thing, like, the general feedback we've had from the community is that, yeah, pushing it back by a few weeks feels like the right move to make. There was just, yeah, it looked good on paper to have everything sort of coinciding around the launch window, but in practice, having things spread out that a little bit more, allowing events like the World Championships to have their time in the sun. Allowing us to do a bit more marketing efforts, allowing like our partners such as Merit Circle, Pentoshi, stuff like that, the time to really get involved and really help us push this. Just gives us the time we need to make sure this is the sort of world-class event that we genuinely believe it should be, and that we obviously are trying to make it. This is by far one of the biggest prize pools I think we've seen. Even just, if you ignore the Web3 aspect, if you look at, even just any digital TCG that has a completely open, free to enter event where you can literally, the only requirement would be play the tutorial for the theme deck events as an example. And have a shot at these sort of prize pools with this sort of game, with all the different game modes. I think that it's a really good event, and that's obviously what we're driving towards. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully that all works out.
Has the prize pool gone up again?
So
wasn't it 20,000, but now it's 40? What's going on there?
If you look at the full prize pool breakdown, and I'll post an updated schedule on RTLOL.com and that once we've got it all with the new dates locked in. But the plan at this stage is that the opening event will now be the 29th of September. So was that 1, 2, 3, about 4 weeks away, or 4 weeks later than what it was going to be.
Yep.
So there's the total prize pool will include $20,000 in Merit Circle token, of which 15,000 is put towards the actual World Championship events, and 5,000 goes towards the Player of the Championship race. And then we've also got about 12 Ethereum worth of NFTs and other on-chain collectibles in the prize pools as well. Of which probably the coolest part of that is there actually will be some of the Super Chad bundles for Formations, the new set that's currently in development, will be in there as well. And at the moment, 12 Ethereum works out roughly around 20k, US as well. So that's where we're getting that number from. But yeah, for full clarity, basically the prize pool is basically 20,000 in Merit Circle token, and then 20,000 in on-chain rewards as well.
Sure. I think those Super Chad bundles will be sought after. That'll be a great set. 20 collectible packs with guaranteed mythic.
Yeah, so 20 it's basically 20 packs with at least one guaranteed mythic. As we saw with previous like Super Chad bundles, stuff like that, there obviously is the chance to pull more than one mythic out of those. That's luck of the draw, obviously. But yeah, if you did have a Super Chad bundle and you opened 19 packs and there were no mythics, there will be a mythic in the 20th, basically, is how we sort of do it.
And that's all obviously from Formations, the upcoming drop. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, Formations. Not much to update. It's still in a mixture of design and development at the moment. I literally just have like a 2-hour meeting going through a bunch of mechanics and stuff that we're building towards. Some of the cards in Formations are looking really cool. It's definitely going to be a very interesting set. I can't remember. I think we've announced what the core mechanics are. If not, let's just drop it because I don't care. So the two main, I mean, Chris is here. He can hit the mute button on me if he really gives a shit, but I don't care. So basically, Formations is all about board position and where you play and and what happens when your minions hit the board is the big sort of core theme that the set has been designed around. The two new mechanics, or the two main new mechanics that you'll see in Formations, is called Surrounded and Flanking. So for both of these mechanics, they only kick in if you have at least 3 minions on the board. But if you have at least 3 minions, whatever minions are on the outside are considered flanking, and any minions that are not on the outside that are surrounded, they're in the middle, are surrounded basically. So a surrounded minion has something on either side. A flanking minion is on the edge of your board basically. So yeah, there'll be a lot of interesting minions. There'll be a lot of spells that interact with that. There's I'm trying to think what I can say without giving too much away. But yeah, I mean, there'll be obviously because this is a full set, so we've got access like commons and uncommons, so they're the cards generally we designed to be a bit easier to play and understand. There'll be things like if this minion is flanking, it's going to gain, I don't know, banish strike or something of that nature. There's at least one minion where if it's not surrounded, it just dies straight away. So yeah, that obviously you got to look after him and make sure you decide where you play him. Being really careful there. There's a cycle of legendary spells in this set. So every color will get a legendary spell, which is very on flavor for what that color is trying to do. There were some legendary spells in 7DS, but there was like a mixture between the two. It wasn't like a theme that the set was sort of built into the set. But yeah, formations there is just 7, the legendary spell cycle, which would be really cool. 2 mythics at this stage. We don't plan on changing that number, but it just comes down to testing and if something changes there. And obviously, we've announced that one of those is Stacey Rainey. So the Chad Rainies will finally have another mythic to choose from outside of Quantum Rogue.
Nice. Some Art of War sort of stuff going on there.
Yeah. So the actual obviously we started this as very much a bottom up design. So the set started around the idea of board position matters. From there, we tested and prototyped a lot of different ways to encourage that sort of more interactive gameplay. Is sort of what we're sort of driving towards. There's a lot of games of RTLOL that you might play where at the moment, around turn 3, 4, and 5, the game is very much I play a minion, my opponent plays a minion, we trade, we then both play 2 more minions, they trade. What we're really driving towards with formations is trying to shake that up a little bit where the decision just is not as arbitrary as do I want to trade minions or not. Depending on what you're doing, depending on what your opponent's doing, there'll be reasons why you won't just want to, like maybe you do want to trade, but it won't just be an automatic, like this is what I do because this is what I do sort of thing. So trying to add a little bit of depth and strategy into when you play your minions, where they go, and then obviously how that sort of evolves from there into combat and stuff like that. So yeah. But yeah,
Nice.
overall, been a super fun set so far in terms of design and development. Everything's on track, obviously. With the changes to the dates of the World Championship, and again, not wanting to drop a brand new set right before the World Championship finals, we may push the launch back by a few weeks, but we'll confirm dates around that. And yeah, I would much rather just push it back and again give the World Championship their focus and then give formations the focus it deserves, than have that overlap and potential confusion if we're dropping a set and is it playable in the World Championships. People have to then start trying to learn this new meta with like a week to go. It could be a bit rough. So yeah, most likely
Yeah.
they'll just get pushed back a little bit.
Couldn't do that. Yep.
But yeah, just that's purely just not wanting, like I said, taking the learnings and the feedback that we're getting from right now, of just trying to make sure that we don't overlap things and just sort of spread things out that little bit more, is generally what we're sort of looking at there as well. But yeah, we'll give you everyone updates. Obviously, as we start getting closer, we will still obviously start doing sneak peeks and all that stuff like we did for previous sets, or I guess more like we did with 7DS. We weren't able to do it as much with Tempest because everyone knew the cards already. But yeah, definitely keen to start sprinkling some of those cards out there, and yeah, getting some feedback and seeing everyone discover this pretty ridiculous set. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think.
Nice. What's the deal with RST? That's obviously, it sounds like from the announcement that you guys are on schedule for that this week, or some
Yep.
portion or some way of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, this has been part of the reason we decided to push back the World Championships. We have just had all hands on deck preparing for the Web3 rollout. It's quite a mammoth, I guess, task to add the entire Web3 layer with all the little bits and pieces that tie in together. But yeah, I think the team's done an amazing job. So we're in a pretty strong position. I will say there were some hiccups and delays, which is to be expected with a brand new chain. Like we are the first game or protocol, I think, to one of the first protocols to launch on Beam. And so there's just been some teething issues there that we've had to work through that have caused some delays. But we're in a pretty strong position to roll out a whole bunch of stuff this week. So at a minimum, we're looking like we'll launch the RST token. We're looking like we should be able to get the Rainy to RST migration bridge online. One of our devs has done a whole bunch of work over the past weeks on the rainy.io website. So we're going to push like a pretty good refresh there. Yeah, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to start the progressive rollout of the Web3 launch from this week. So yeah, we're really excited to get all of this online. I will say that there's nothing urgent that anyone in the community needs to do. We'll give you plenty of notice. We're not planning on, launching the Rainy to RST migration bridge and then giving you like a 24-hour window, and if you miss it, then you just shut out forever. We will keep that open for many months. And what we are looking at doing, because it looks like it'll take a bit of time, we'll probably have the RST staking online on Beam, likely this week, but I'll keep you posted to earn rainbows. But the LP staking contract, because it has to integrate with magnifiers, is taking a little bit longer. So what we're looking at doing instead is an incentive for anyone who migrates their LP over between now and when the LP staking gets online on Beam. We'll do another like an X Photon airdrop to say thank you for being ahead of the curve. We don't want you guys to be missing out, and we want to reward those who are supporting us early. But just in terms of like the sheer magnitude of the dev stuff we've have to build and roll out, that one will take a little bit longer. So I think we're on track to do a whole bunch of stuff this week. We'll keep you guys posted, give you ample notice, so there's nothing to worry about through all the channels. Yeah, and it's going to be like a pretty exciting week, and then the several weeks ahead to get all the Web3 stuff online.
You were just saying about the LP side of things. So it's okay for those of us that have LP on Binance and Ethereum at the moment to break it now and to split it into its components, and then we have to buy MC. Is that what we're pairing with?
Yeah, that's correct. You can do that now if you like. Yeah, that's the only thing that like is a consideration. Because Merit Circle is going to be helping us with a bunch of liquidity, which is fantastic for the project. The RST will be paired with MC, which is also the gas token for Beam. So if you wanted to, you could start preparing to migrate your liquidity across.
And they're the people that benefit from the bonus of the X Photon airdrop you're talking about, is it?
Correct. Yeah. Anyone who we're not going to just make that again like a 24 or 48-hour window. We'll give you a little bit of notice, and then we'll keep that bonus open for anyone who does it within the first however many days. Likely it's going to be an airdrop that's based on the amount of LP you provide and how long you provide it for in that period before staking comes online. Once staking is online, you'll get rewarded in RST and unicorns anyway. But yeah, you're going to get a commensurate reward for just being ahead of the curve and helping us out in those early days.
Sort of starting from now, basically.
Starting from when the LP pool is created. So it should be sometime this week, but yeah, stay tuned. We'll keep you posted.
You'll let us know. Okay, cool. Fantastic. Thank you.
Sorry, we're just working out stuff for the player of the championship stuff while I'm doing this as well.
Multitasking.
Our lead artist. Actually, you know what? Hell, I'm just going to drop it in. I'll drop it. Where can I drop it? I can drop it in Telegram.
It's a nice change of pace. It's usually Marty answering the questions while I work away on another screen and just get tagged in for the Web3 question.
Yeah, like Chris is talking. I get some stuff done. No, he's just done like a really awesome like logo for the player of the championship. And yeah,
very
I just want to drop
nice.
that because it looks cool. So I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna drop it.
It does, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's got all the cards in the background.
There you go.
So would that be generated in Leonardo?
Knowing our artist, yes, that would have been a mixture of Leonardo and himself, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Get
like
the words
Leo.
in there, I suppose, is not something.
Yeah,
you could probably
although
illustrate. Leo.
I mean, having said that, not to go off topic too much, but if you are an enthusiast of evolving of new technologies, which I imagine most people in the Web3 space are, yeah, AI is getting scarily good at doing text now. Definitely go jump on Leo if you haven't recently. Have a bit of play around with SDXL, because yeah, it can do text,
And
which
photorealistic images as well.
yeah. And some of the stuff they're working on too with like, this sounds really weird for anyone who doesn't follow the AI space, but having hands that have 4 fingers and a thumb is actually getting, with photoreal, is huge. So yeah, definitely jump over there if you haven't had a chance to do that.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, like actually, the other thing we'll be announcing this week as well is the winners of our Leonardo Rainy competition that we ran. The Leonardo community came together. They designed. It's in the hundreds, if not low thousands, of card backs. We were just blown away by the response from the community. It was insane. We've picked a bunch of winners out of those, and you'll start seeing some of those card backs in game from season one, which is yeah, just really cool. We're yeah thrilled to have the Leo community supporting us in the way they have. So yeah, definitely cool to see that as well.
Nice.
All right. So we touched on free play week. We touched on season one. Yeah, there'll be seasonal leaderboards, daily, weekly quests. There's the Rainiverse tier of the battle pass, which obviously, yeah, having that free play week means that we can get RST up and running, so that people can actually jump into that battle pass hopefully from day one. If for any reason that side of things is not ready to go by day one of season one, obviously keep in mind we track your XP from the start regardless. So yeah, if for example it takes us like maybe an extra couple days to get the Rainiverse pass up and running, then yeah, you'll still be able to like everything you do from the start of season one will still count towards it. It just obviously won't unlock things straight away. And yeah, the cool thing with the Rainiverse tier of the battle pass, every single reward in that tier will be a on-chain collectible, thanks to our
Sweet.
friends at Beam. So yeah, we've obviously got free tier is there for everyone. Lux tier is there for people that want to get a bit more serious about the game itself. The Rainiverse tier is for the serious collectors and enthusiasts who want to basically uh, yeah, unlock a lot of rewards through that. And then obviously with the RST that you spend on that battle pass, as well as any RST you spend on Lux or any other thing that we sell within the Rainiverse, 25% of that will be just burnt straight away. That's actually baked into the contract. So actually, I'm not sure how you'll see it, but you'll be able to see somewhere on chain like it go to the burn wallet or something. I don't like our team would work out how that works. And yeah, the other 25%. Chris, did you want to just quickly touch on that, just for anyone who may have missed that announcement or that slight change to the tokenomics?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's going to be built into not the token contract itself for RST, but the contract that we'll use for the purchase of all ecosystem items. So whether it's Lux or whether it's the Rainiverse Battle Pass or whether it's packs of cards, if you're spending Photon and buying something from Rainy Studios, then yeah, a portion of everything you spend will be burnt, and a portion will be set aside to accumulate over time. Um, Once that, uh, I guess, portion that has been set aside to accumulate reaches a balance of 75 million, it's going to be distributed to all of the Rainy holders who have essentially like burnt or migrated the Rainy tokens to RST based on the proportion of the total RST migrated across. I will also use this opportunity. I know Crypto Cloaker brought up an interesting point about us. We're likely going to have to migrate our Rainy as well. We are keeping track of the proportion, and we will exclude any Rainy Studios Rainy that is sent across as well. So it won't be eligible for any of the, I guess, the Rainy Pool additional rewards. This is purely just meant to act as an additional reward to our, I guess, OG Rainy supporters, those who came with us for at least some of the journey we've been on to date until we evolve into the new token. Yeah, so the medium gives a pretty good outline of that. But yeah, really excited to announce that change.
Yeah, those new changes you guys made with feedback from the community, I think was excellent. Obviously, very well received. But the additional money for RST for the X Photon holders, and there's obviously a lot of airdrops still coming from X Photon, but also, like you say, the that proportion, your proportion of the Rainy that you have that you convert to RST is obviously going to be increased by the fact that whatever Rainy tokens you guys have won't be included in that total, which is fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Not to mention, I think there's going to be a lot of Rainy that's lost. Like I imagine a lot of it's been a long and very tumultuous time since Rainy launched in March of 21. We've seen like the insane highs and now the I guess abysmal lows. And I imagine, yeah, a lot of people have just checked out and aren't checking their wallets anymore. A lot of people do that in a bear market. So yeah, a lot of wallets may be lost in terms of private keys or unfortunately hacks. That's I guess a tangent, but please try to be careful out there. I know a lot of our community members have suffered attacks like that, and we've seen a couple in recent history actually. But yeah, I guess the one upside is that the less Rainy that is locked into the RST migration bridge, the bigger the proportion of the rewards once we hit that 75 million threshold. So yeah, get amongst it.
I think a bit of a saving grace sometimes for even those that were compromised and things is that having your Rainy or your NFTs actually staked is a bit of a blessing because hackers didn't even seem to know that they were there. So they're still. I mean, it's obviously it's a bit hard to sort of unstake them and move them when in a compromised wallet, but it seems to have saved a lot of people having them sort of locked away, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really good system to yeah allow people to stake and then just get those rewards even if they check out for a while.
Yeah, it's
Um,
good to see rainbows and unicorns still live, which is great.
yeah, keen to see how far we can take them into the future.
Yeah, that's right. Very cool. I mean, they're definitely an OG thing. So it's they were going to go obviously at one point, but now they're back, which is great. I think I love them.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
we had at the point where we were still looking at the two token system, um, like where rainbows and unicorns are almost like token 3, token 4 sort of thing. It starts getting a little confusing, especially for newer people wanting to join and get into the community of understanding just what the hell is going on. But yeah, now we're back to a single token system. We've obviously seen really great response to bows and corns up now. I think actually the raffles and auctions from Tempest only just ended like not that long ago. Um, so yeah, I think there's a lot of value in doing that to support our community.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. I mean, I guess that's all the main things that we wanted to sort of touch on. I guess yeah, the other thing just to be fully clear and transparent. Yeah, so we pushed back the World Championships. The first event will be on the 29th of September. Um, the rationale behind it, there's no like everything's ready to go. You'll see the new update come out this week regardless for season 1. In that update will be all the improvements to like lobbies, end game screen, all the bits and pieces that we had ready to go for the World Championships will obviously still go live. It was literally just not wanting to have all these different things that we're working on all sort of overlapping each other and sort of taking focus away. We want to make sure it's very clear message that we're putting out there from a team perspective, from a marketing perspective. So our focus, obviously, this week is on the RST token. Going into next week will be on the season 1 launch, and then towards the end of September will be the kickoff for the World Championships. Once the World Championships are out of the way, then we'll focus on formations. After formations, we'll focus on, I guess that will be the start of season 2. Uh, Probably early next year is when we'll try to drop Santa's package, which is the mini sets coming after formations. And then the next major set, evolutions, that's still in very early pre-design at this stage. Having said that, we've got some ideas around the mechanics and the aesthetics and what we're sort of trying to do with that set. But yeah, that will be probably dropping. I don't know, throw it like March, April as a maybe. But yeah, that's still very much a way away. But I mean, it gives you an idea as well. Like when we're looking at set design, and one of the things that I love about the process that we've built as a team, um, that we look at the game holistically as a whole, and we're always looking at what we did in the past and what we did in the future, in terms of how we design cards and how different things interact with each other. As I said, there's at least one 7DS card that becomes incredibly more useful once formation drops. There will be cards and formations that you look at and go, hey, that works really well with something back from Genesis or Tempest. That's not coincidental. Like a lot of that stuff was designed with each other in mind. So yeah, like I said, very very keen to see everyone get their hands on formations, being the first large set that we've done obviously now since that original Genesis and Tempest sort of design. So yeah, definitely keen to see our players get into that and enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, before that, definitely very keen to kick into the World Championships. 13 events over a month. There's events there literally for everyone. There's obviously the collectibles events, which if you didn't see the announcement, we have actually updated the rulings around collectible tournaments moving forward, which actually works out a lot cleaner and simpler. So really happy we made that change. Basically being that if a card is available as an on-chain collectible, you must own the on-chain collectible to use that particular card. So it still doesn't restrict people who maybe don't have as large of a collection as others, but obviously it does provide a lot of incentive for people who are serious collectors. And obviously once we have the rental systems up and running with faded cards, that definitely comes into play there as well.
So could people play in a collectible tournament with no NFTs, just use all the base cards, but they could still play? Might not have much of a chance, but they're allowed to play.
So this was a late night discussion that Chris and I had the other night. Can they play? Yes. Keep on. So theme decks, no. But if you wanted to build a base deck and enter a collectible event, and pardon my language, but it's 6 p.m. at night, and I'm going to give it to you straight. If you want to get absolutely shit on by everyone running collectible decks, sure. We're not going to stop you.
Okay.
Yeah. But having said that,
don't.
I mean, like we want as many players as possible for these events.
Yeah.
Go for it.
And keep in mind, like everyone who enters will earn, like even just if you get knocked out, like the very last place, that's 10 points towards player of the championship. Theoretically, if you do really well in other events, that 10 points could be the difference between taking down that title or coming in second, which is a pretty drastic difference in prize money between the two. So honestly, for the serious players who are seriously wanting to take down this world title, want to take down player of the championship and give it a really good crack, I would be trying to enter every event that you possibly can. But yeah, obviously keep in mind that if you go into the theme deck tournament and you don't know what's in the decks of half of the theme decks, you will get shit on, basically. Because they know there are players out there preparing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to reinforce that, because we are starting these collectible tournaments, but allowing people to enter with just base cards, we actually have some design changes planned for the future that will make it even harder to get any sort of placement with a base card only deck. But hey, if you want to enter, then that's great. The bigger the player base in every tournament, the better. Should we just tell them what we're thinking for the design change?
I was about to ask. Like, I'm happy to.
Yeah,
to
may as well.
Yeah.
So up to date, we have had a system wherein you could run any number of colors of the same card if they're base. So Energy Blast is probably the biggest offender we've seen when the meta was quite control heavy. We would see decks that would consist of, let's say, 4 pink Energy Blasts, and then 4 purple Energy Blasts, and then 2. So it's like a quarter of your deck is just Energy Blasts in different colors. We will be changing it shortly so that you can only have a maximum of 4 of any named card, regardless of what color distribution you want to do. So it should help ensure there's more diversity across decks. It's going to impact the collectible format specifically, I think. But yeah, just something to be aware of. Yeah, and prepare for. You get the alpha by tuning into the AMA.
Just for fun, I'll drop one of the deck lists that I was practicing with today, just for fun. Yeah, So that's obviously not the sort of meta that we're trying to encourage. The design behind theme decks was always a case of they were designed to fill out a deck. They should never be the core components of a deck. So yeah, this change hopefully brings that a bit more into alignment and is much more viable now that we do have more cards available now than we did back when we were in alpha and beta. Obviously, when formation drops, that adds more cards we've ever had there as well. I don't think we'll ever remove base cards. I think they're an important thing to have for newer players to have that sort of very easy to understand, simple cards to use, and obviously they feature quite heavily during the tutorial. But yeah, like moving forward, as we add more and more sets and cards into the game, it's obviously important to make sure they're still living up to their original design, which is basically just
And
meant to be supplementary.
I think a big prompt for that was also the implementation of theme decks. So one of Marty's many brilliant ideas. I think theme deck made the new player experience really great. You can unlock 2 of them just by doing the tutorial. There's less reliance on having a huge range of possible decks you can construct using only or mostly base decks because you've got those 7 theme decks to play with. So yeah, I think a lot of things changed from when we implemented the base cards. So it's about time to start reining in the amount that you can run of the exact same card.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I suppose it all, I mean, as long as people are aware of it, they just, they make their decks based on that. I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, you could still have 4 energy blasts of one color if that's important, or mix them up a bit, I suppose. But be interesting to see what Nemesaurs and Hunchos and things like that play the game a lot have to say about that change. Just, but I mean,
Yeah. I'm keen to see what
very varied.
I'm keen to see what the best base deck someone can come up with is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like is that 4-color control deck that we saw back in like the AVAX Championship stuff like that as viable when they're not running 10 energy blasts and 10 yield farmings and stuff like that. So yeah, and also I guess the thing there as well is it opens up more design space for us because now all of a sudden we can add cards in the game that draw cards or cards that maybe do direct damage without worrying about how it stacks up against energy blast or yield farming and how it's going to feel in a deck that potentially has 10 or 15 or 20 of each of those cards. So it opens up a lot of interesting design space for us to play with, including actually one hint I will give about card in formations. We have a card in formations which is a targeted freeze card. It's a spell, and depending on what's happening, you may want to play it on your minions or you may want to play it on your opponent's minions. So you may want to freeze, one of your minions, which sounds really weird. Why would you ever want to do that? That sounds stupid. Anyway, we'll have to just wait and see if that card makes it through design. I'm pretty sure it will, because both myself and the designer who's leading card design on that set love the card already. So it would take a lot for that one not to make it through, unless it's as broken as what it feels like it could be. But hopefully it's not, because I want to see it make it.
Probably not before formations, but will there be new theme decks over time as well as new sets drop, and they'll be available in the shop and all that sort of thing? And
yeah, so the plan. Yep, the plan at this stage is that every new set that comes out, there'll be some theme decks that get released alongside it, with the goal being that they are a really great way to introduce the mechanics, the set, the flavor to players. It won't be 7. Like formations, there will be, I would assume, somewhere between like 2 and 4. And they'll obviously be tested heavily against the existing theme decks, because we're going to try and make sure that theme deck meta stays as consistent and balanced as we possibly can. But yeah, there'll definitely be new theme decks as we go.
Nice. There's just one question from Raini RTLOL there. I think you've answered this really anyway, but when will we start P2E in RTLOL? And I suppose which cards will earn more RST?
Sure.
Yep. Oh, you go.
Do you want me to take this one?
Go for it.
So first of all, I think P2E is not really a term we want to associate with the game. We'll do like play and earn, but we always want to emphasize that the primary focus of RTLOL is to have a game that is fun to play. Regardless, the ability to earn tokens from the game in various forms is going to start being rolled out in the weeks ahead. So we're going to launch the RST token We're going to launch the LP. We're going to launch the migration bridge. We're going to launch some ways to spend RST. And then over the coming weeks, we're going to start implementing all the various ways you can earn RST tokens. So one is going to be the staking your LP tokens on Beam. And then we've got the collect and earn, where you will be able to earn rewards based on staking your cards according to how rare those cards are, and how prevalent they were in like the previous months. I guess played games, not necessarily by yourself, but the entire like ladder. So that's one way. Another way is going to be the faded card. So when you stake them, you can get a kind of like a ghost copy of that card that you can then rent out to people and earn some additional RST that way. You'll be able to earn RST and magnifier shards by playing and winning games on the ladder. And then there will be leaderboard rewards that will include some RST. So we're about to do the first round. For season 0, it's all promo cards. Future seasons will contain some RST as well. So all of these ways to earn, yeah, are pretty close actually. They're all going to start rolling out over the coming weeks. So keep your eyes peeled.
Excellent. Impressive. Can't wait. So much coming, really.
Yeah.
Should be. I mean, hopefully it'll be fun. That's the whole reason why we make games, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I just read through the telegrams and obviously always reading the discords and the telegrams, but you see people that have just come in recommended by a friend from somewhere, and they're addicted to the game basically in a fairly short period of time. So, I mean, the marketing is obviously a big thing. You were talking about that very large YouTuber, Hearthstone YouTuber. What sort of time period that sort of person might be brought into start spreading the good news?
We're looking as soon as we get the updated time frames to him or her, then the YouTube integration should be able to be done within the space of a week. So probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks that you'll see that drop. And then, as Marty said, I checked Blue Mint today, and there was actually someone from the Philippines streaming the game. Thanks to Morpheus for organizing that. I know IndieGG, I think they had like 8 content creators who were creating streams for us in India. Yeah, so we've got like a whole bunch lined up in terms of stuff that's really started kind of this week, I think, with like the Morpheus and hopefully Indie GG stuff, and then yeah, culminating with this really big Hearthstone content creator, probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Because I mean that seems to be the thing, I suppose. Once people see the game and they get in and they play it, they really seem to like it. I mean, even if you're not a TCG person, which I was never before this, but once you start to understand the game a little bit, it is a very fun and addictive sort of game. I think you really have a great time playing it. I do anyway.
I mean, that's this. I mean, it's the slippery slope of TCGs, and like I said, they got me like quarter of a century ago. You start playing as, oh, this is pretty fun. Like, you look at some cards like, oh, that's really good, and then you start to fall down the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden, cards that you originally thought were good turn out to be terrible, and you start realizing all these different strategies, all these different interactions, and then you start moving beyond that sort of like what we call like level 1 thinking to like level 2, where when you start playing a game, it's much more a case of, right, I'm not thinking about the cards in my hand because I've played so many games. That's almost just on autopilot now. It's like now I'm trying to think, like, what do I think my opponent has? Like, when they stake something, it's like, okay, like, why are they trying to build up that color? What deck are they trying to do? It's not always as simple as, they start playing champions. You go, oh my god, I know they're going to go for a rainbow champion win. There's a lot of decks that because again, we've got the benefit that we see literally every single game that gets played on the back end, which is kind of cool. So, we see some of these, unconventional decks that try to, pull a Lust combo out of nowhere. Or we see like the Pride decks that, can just one hit KO, and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely really interesting to see all the different strategies. And as we move forward, like, the goal is that formations will add new decks, new strategies, new ways to try to play the game. And because we have that eternal format, again, really stupid idea. Someone should have talked me out of it. But theoretically, all the new sets that come out as we move forward just add to the experience that you have from everything that we've already had in the past. So, there may be a deck that, maybe with formations, maybe the old Phoenix Lambo deck becomes popular again. Maybe elementals become popular again. Maybe recursive reality decks get the kick in the pants they need to become tier one again. So it's always an interesting thing, and the game will always be sort of evolving and changing over time as well. So it's yeah, never a better
Yeah,
time to get in, I guess.
yeah, of course. Like I say, if you release a card that suddenly works really fantastically with a banish type style of thing, they can make a big comeback. Zuckerberg was obviously powerful, but whenever I see him, I try and kill him if I'm playing against a banish deck, because he's probably the worst to let live for a long period of time.
Oh, for sure.
I throw everything at him I can, but
Great thing at the moment too is Lorcana, which is a new TCG that it's launched in some countries last week, but for a bunch of the world, it's not launching until early next year. So there's a lot of people, especially if you follow like TCGs on Reddit and Twitter and stuff like that at the moment. There's a lot of people going like, "Oh, was really excited for this, but now I'm looking for another TCG to play in the meantime." Hopefully, we can capture some of that audience there as well.
And you guys are localizing. Are you the game in various languages? Is that sort of powering along in the background?
Yeah, so we're in the process at the moment of the hardest part of doing it, which is basically stripping every bit of text out of the game. And even though we don't have as much text as like say like a adventure or a narrative sort of game, there's a lot of text in there, and there's a lot of text that needs to be translated with the right context as well. So we're partnering with an outsourcing studio. I won't drop the name, but I've worked with them before on some relatively big games. They do amazing work because their testers not only will just like speak fluent English and insert other language here sort of thing. They're also gamers. So they'll get in there, they'll play the game itself. So when they're translating, things like Banish Strike, or they're translating, the Blockfather's ability and stuff like that, they've got that full context around what the card is meant to actually be doing. So you just get that better quality translations, way better than you'll ever get just doing like a Google Translate or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Once we've got all the text out, they can start doing their thing and do the actual like translation. In the process of us stripping all the text out of the game, we go into like the dev build, replace all the text with just like keys. And then when you go into the game, it'll ask what language, and it knows how to go. Okay, this is meant to be this line, but in whatever language you choose it to be in, and it will should hopefully just all work. It also means as well that we can then update any text in the game from the back end without needing to push through a full update. So if there's ever like a typo or like a spelling mistake or something like that, or even something in maybe the tutorial that just we could explain better or we can word better, we can just basically update that on our back end, and it just pushes through the next time you load the game.
Nice.
But yeah, we're looking at a bunch of languages at the moment. I think it's about 8. I think we're on the list, Chris, from the top of my head.
And mobile's still sort of powering along in the background. You guys are working on that obviously heavily, I imagine.
Yeah, so
once you get season 1 underway.
Yeah, we're starting with the Android build first. Although like that's mostly just because it's quicker to get Android up and running. Specifically, we're looking at the moment, like the work that was happening today was just around the login and authentication flow. So making sure that when you download the game, you can sign up through Epic to get access to your existing account, collections, and so forth. Once that's all locked in, we need to move over all of our current in-app purchase and storefront stuff to work with Google Play. And then once you've got that done for Android, it becomes trivial to then do it again for iOS. So the plan at this stage will most likely still be to launch both mobile SKUs at the same time. But yeah, they'll be fully tested out, and yeah, like I said, you'll basically should have feature parity from day one with what you currently have like on desktop.
Very nice. Thanks, guys. I can't see any more questions anywhere at the moment, but yep.
Cool. Easy done. Well, yeah, thank you, everyone. I mean, hello, I guess, to everyone from Europe and all the countries that are able to actually join us live for an AMA for once. Let us know if this time works better for everyone. We'll probably look at some of the back end analytics to see which time zone, I guess, works better. But yeah, hopefully that was an interesting AMA. A lot of info there just to drop about everything happening over the next few weeks. But yeah, we'll be around on all of our socials, especially as we start to roll out RST on Beam.
Lovely. Well done. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Have a great week, everyone, and we will catch you back here next week.
Thanks,
See you then.
guys.
Cheers,
See
everyone.
you soon.
Have a good one.